Welcome to the 4 Pillars of Health. My name is Jeff Cohlmia. I'll be talking a little bit about exercise, sleep, stress, and nutrition. We'll also have some honorable mentions at the end. I have a PhD in natural medicine. I also have a doctorate in natural health, and I'm certified by the NSCA Strength and Conditioning Association. I've been a certified personal trainer for about 26 years. The first year, 2, 3 years, it was simply about fitness and a little bit about nutrition. But now we're finding that these components that I'm going to talk about today are super critical for your clients as well. Exercise. We all know about exercise. We need to have our clients moving 10,000 steps per day. We also need to teach them resistance training at least twice a week, and to move aerobically 30 minutes a day, preferably 5 days a week. Sleep. Sleep is kind of the hidden gem here. Sleep's important. We need at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. We'll talk a little bit about sleep and the implications on our healthcare system. Stress. We all encounter stress. Acute stress is fine. We're having a lot of chronic stress these days. What we want to talk about is in our chronic stress is how we can stave that off, and we'll talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, how it impacts our health. And finally, nutrition. We'll talk a little bit about the EWG, the Clean 15, the Dirty Dozen. We'll also talk about the importance of some of the nutrients like phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and some of the nutrients that we need in our bodies. So the first pillar of health we're going to talk about is exercise. We could also put movement in there as well. We need to be moving at least 10,000 steps per day. We know that now we have a very sedentary society. We have to kind of get them motivated into moving more and not just exercising. So some of the benefits of exercise are it reduces our body fat. When we perform resistance training protocols, we increase our basal metabolic rate, which then burns body fat. We increase our lifespan. We oxygenate our body. So the muscles are built, and we have to have the heart pumping a little bit harder to get that blood flow out and get the oxygen out to the muscles. It would ward off viruses. So our immune system is super important for a lot of things. We need to make sure that we strengthen our heart, and through resistance training and through aerobic training, we can strengthen our heart. It boosts mood. So we increase endorphins, we increase the serotonin, the dopamine, the things that make us feel good. Maintains mobility, stretching, yoga, all these things, even resistance training, will help us get a proper range of motion for each joint. It improves memory. So studies have shown that with aerobic training that we actually increase the amount of cells in our brain. It's called neurogenesis. Improves coordination. As we get older, we find our clients, some of our older clients, will have falls. So the strength training helps increase the muscle mass, which increases balance. Strengthens bones. We have an epidemic of now osteoporosis. So by resistance training and the proper amount of vitamin D in our diet and through the sun exposure, we can then strengthen our bones and strengthen the muscles around them. We detoxify our body. So as we sweat out toxins. 80,000 toxins, and we'll talk about that a little later, since World War II. Decreases our stress. When we work out, we just feel a lot. We burn up cortisol, we feel a lot better. We lower blood pressure. So our blood pressure should be roughly 120/80. We want to keep that in check. And finally, we reduce cancer risk. Aerobic training has shown that we have a reduced risk of all types of cancers, specifically breast cancer and colon cancer. It increases that to 30 to 40%. So I'd like to talk about a few people that were very inspirational to me and paved the way for people like me and others in the fitness and nutrition professions that have made it easier on us and given us a platform to speak to you. The first is Linus Pauling. Dr. Linus Pauling was named one of the top 10 chemists of the 21st century. He had won 2 Nobel Prizes. And so he coined the term orthomolecular medicine or orthomolecular nutrition. And what he talked about was high amounts of nutrients for people that had schizophrenia, B vitamins, vitamin C for people with cancer or a common cold. Jack LaLanne, the godfather of fitness, he brought this to the foresight. And Adele Davis, Adele Davis was one of the top nutritionists of the 20th century. And Adele Davis really went against the establishment, and at her death actually talked about how nutritional deficiency when she was younger in the early 1900s was the reason why she died so young on her deathbed. So let's get into stress. According to the American Psychological Association, 75% of Americans experience moderate to high levels of stress in the past month, and nearly half reported their stress has increased in the past year. If left unchecked, stress has been shown to play a role in cancer, heart disease, inflammation, and this is what the root cause of all disease is. So when we look at inflammation, really the underlying cause of inflammation is stress. Okay? That can be chemical, from chemicals, that can be from physical, and that can be from spiritual as well. Autonomic nervous system, this is the difference between our fight or flight and our rest and digest. So if we look at the slide, we see the parasympathetic is when we're relaxed, and what it does, some of the things, it secretes saliva. So we need amylase, which is important for breaking down carbohydrates. It inhibits the heart, so in other words, it relaxes the heart. It stimulates digestive activity. If we're not in a parasympathetic or a rest and digest nervous system, we cannot properly assimilate our nutrients. Then we get to the sympathetic, which most of us are. We're dominant in the fight or flight. We're constantly stressed. This is called chronic stress. And some of the things it does, it inhibits the ability of the digestive system, accelerates the heart rate. We get a higher heart rate. We get a higher blood pressure. And our immune system goes down, to name a few. Okay? Our hippocampus, the brain, tends to shrink as we get stressed. So our cognitive thinking goes down and we have brain fog. So it's so important to make sure that we have a balance in these two nervous systems. As you can see the next slide, we call it chronic stress. This is the individual that chronically is overworked, they don't sleep properly, they drink too much caffeine. Some of the effects you can see here are on the brain that we just talked about. Difficulty concentrating, anxiety, depression, irritability. Anybody hears those things from your clients? Cardiovascular system, higher cholesterol. When the body's stressed, you're going to put out more cholesterol. Increased risk of heart attack and stroke. So our blood pressure goes up and all those chances of having increased risk go up. Skin, we have hair loss, dark brittle hair, dark skin, acne. All these things come to the forefront when we're stressed. And the gut, so we talked about that a little bit. Nutrient absorption goes down, all right? We have irritable bowel syndrome. Who hasn't heard of all these things now? Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, and pain, discomfort in the digestive tract. Reproductive system. When we're stressed, we don't need to worry about reproducing. We don't need to be worrying about immune system. All this goes down and decreases. So chronic stress can affect a lot of people, and it does daily. Some of the ways that we can deal with chronic stress are, new studies have suggested that yoga may help relieve the symptoms of depression as well, especially when utilized as a complement to traditional therapy. Okay? So therapeutic yoga is used in a lot of settings to help bring down stress hormones. Diaphragmatic breathing, very important. When we breathe in, we're shallow breathing from the chest. We need to breathe from the belly. Slow, deep breathing and specific breathing exercises helps the body override the fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, and controls our fight or flight response and lets the parasympathetic, which we want in majority, control our ability to relax, play a more dominant role. So it's very important that we teach our clients how important it is to breathe properly. And finally, in Japan, they do what's called forest bathing. They go in just the forest and just kind of detox, so to speak. By spending time in nature, we reduce our blood pressure, reduce our heart rate, obtain critical vitamin D, and produce feel-good endorphins throughout our bodies. Our third pillar is nutrition. Michael Pollan, a famous food author, said, "Don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food." And when I think about some of the foods that I see when I'm going out to a health food store, grocery store, they don't really resemble food. They resemble synthetic who knows what you call it. So it's very important to make sure that we're teaching our clients to eat real food. Okay? Food is medicine, and talked about Linus Pauling. He said optimum nutrition is the medicine of tomorrow. We're going to talk about things like phytonutrients and different chemicals that are in plants that are very healthy for us, and that considered from Hippocrates' point of view, that was actually medicine. Hippocrates is the father of Western medicine, and he said, let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food. He also said, disease begins in the gut. So it's important that we eat and we teach our clients that food is medicine. Nutrient density, basically what that is for the amount of calories you get a ton of nutrients, right? We're going to take a look at these 7 different nutrient-dense foods. Now, bone broth. We've all heard about bone broth in the news lately. Our great-grandmothers probably consumed a lot and made a lot of bone broth. But what bone broth does basically are 2 things. They heal the gut and they increase the immune system. Kale. Anybody ate kale before? Kale is very high on what we call the ORAC scale, the antioxidant scale. Kale is high in vitamin A, vitamin C, and iron. Alaskan salmon. This is wild-caught salmon. It's very high in what we call omega-3. And omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory food. Garlic. Raw and black garlic contains an enzyme called allicin. It helps boost the immune system and clean the liver. Speaking of liver, we have at the top, that's not the focal point of most people's dream of eating healthy food, but liver has a lot of iron and it also has a lot of vitamin A. You want to make sure that the liver that you consume is from pasture-raised animals. Egg yolks. Eat the yolks, please. Organic pastured yolks are very important. That these hens are pecking and eating their natural food outside. They're consuming seeds, worms, and grasses. And finally, sprouts. Sprouts are probably have the most living enzymes that we can find. They're very high on the ORAC scale, and they have a lot of vitamins and minerals. So nutrient density is important. Teach our clients that for the amount of calories that we have a lot of nutrients to go along with that. Okay? Polyphenols are phytonutrients. These are micronutrients that are found in foods. And as you can see with your slide, you'll find foods like blueberries that have pterostilbene, which is an anti-aging food, resveratrol, catechins that are from green tea, and allicin, again, that's from things like garlic. And what we'll find in these foods is these are anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-carcinogen. So these are actually cancer fighters that we can consume every day in our meals, and that we can teach our clients that these things are basically medicine for us. Okay? Some of the tips that I would give for your clients are follow the 80-20 rule. That doesn't mean they have to be perfect. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on your clients to be perfect. So if they eat 80% of the time healthy, they can fudge about 20% of the time. Okay? Make essential omega-3 fats just that, essential. And what that means is our body does not produce these. Okay? Essential amino acids are the same way. Very important for health of our brain. Our brain is about 25% cholesterol, and a high majority of that is DHA, what we get from cold water fish. DHA is also found, and omega-3s are found in our eye and on the lining of our nerves. So they're very critical. We need to teach our clients to consume at least, according to the American Heart Association, 1,000 milligrams per day. Okay? Drink water away from meals. And what that means is 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after. When you're drinking or consuming fluids during your meal, what's going to happen is you're going to dilute all the enzymes. Enzymes help break those things down, so you need those, are critical. Drink half your body weight in ounces of water. Okay? Water is important for a lot of things. We're 2/3 water, and we need to make sure we're getting good filtered water. Eat food that is in season, local, and organic. So in season, you've got strawberries, you've got blueberries, you've got all the berries this summer. You've got apples coming up in the fall. Eat in season. You'll save money as well. It'll be a lot healthier for you. Locally, go to your farmers markets, talk to the farmers. You can get pasture-raised eggs, you get vegetables, you get all kind of foods. and organic. And if you'll go to the ewg.org, that's the environmentalworkinggroup.org, you'll find a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So the Dirty Dozen are foods that we need to get organically. And those are like strawberries, potatoes, blueberries, foods that have thin skin, okay? And again, if we buy those in season, then we'll find they're going to be cheaper. The Clean 15 are foods like bananas, avocados, melons. Those things we don't necessarily have to buy organically if we're looking at our budget. Limit sugar and refined carbohydrates. So we should be limiting our sugar to 25 grams for women, about 36 grams per day, according to the American Heart Association, for men. Refined carbohydrates, things that have pasta, bagels, breads, these things turn into sugar in your body very quickly, and they can do the same thing as sugar. Mindful eating. How many of our clients just sit at a computer and they're just wolfing this food down? We need to teach slow, mindful eating. Each time we eat, we can put the fork down, relax, spend time with your friends and family. Eat until 80% full. I think sometimes when we don't eat mindfully, what happens is we just overfeed ourselves. And chew your food into a liquid. One of the most underestimated things about digestion is making sure that you consume your food, chew it into a bolus, let it go down, and then it's activated into your digestive tract. And our fourth and final pillar will be sleep. 1 out of 3 people have insomnia at some point in their lives. Over 70 million Americans suffer from disorders of sleep and wakefulness. So people are having a hard time getting to sleep, and when they get to sleep, they wake up in the middle of the night. It's estimated that 30 to 40% of children do not get enough sleep. This is super critical when kids are growing, their bones are forming, their muscles are forming, their brains forming. The sleep is critical, so they need at least 9 to 10 hours per night. Sleep problems add an estimated $15.9 billion to national health care cost. Adults require 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. So we know that the adults that get less than 6 or more than 9 have a detrimental effect on their health. Those over 65 make up about 13% of the U.S. population. These are our seniors, but consume over 30% of prescription drugs and 40% of sleeping pills. Side effects of sleeping pills are possible death. So we want to teach our clients that this is important to do this naturally. Over half of those over the age of 65 experience disturbed sleep. And one thing that's not on the slide here, we'll talk about the lymphatic system. And this is found in the brain, and this only happens when we're in deep sleep at night. And basically this takes the toxins in deep sleep, flushes them out of the body, and cleans our brain. So we know that these type of toxins can be related to things like dementia and Alzheimer's. It's important to teach your clients about the lymphatic system. Okay? Thomas Dekker, his quote was, "Sleep is the golden chain that ties health and our bodies together." So sleep is a very important component of this 4 pillars of health. You'll know when you don't get enough sleep how you feel the next day. Practical tips for a restful night's sleep. Get 8 hours of sleep per night, depending on the individual. Some need 7, 8, some up to even 9 hours of sleep. As we get older into our senior years, we can have a little less, and we go to bed a little bit earlier. As we're younger, we tend to go to bed a little later and want to sleep in a little bit later. Set and maintain a regular bedtime 7 nights a week. And as I went on vacation a few weeks ago, I found out coming back to work that not getting a consistent sleep was really rough the first few days. Make sure your bedroom is dark. You should not be able to see your hand in front of your face. Okay? Shouldn't be able to see that. The reason is we secrete melatonin at around 9, 10 o'clock at night, and that keeps us into that restful sleep. When we have lights going on, even if it's a little bit of a light, it's going to suppress our melatonin. Our melatonin is a supreme antioxidant, and it's super critical in the circadian rhythms. Keep the temperature in your bedroom at below 70 degrees. And it's important that the body stays cool at night, we see about 3 or 4 o'clock at night that the body starts to cool down, and it's at its coolest point. Move alarm clocks and other electrical devices away from your head. How many times do we look up to the clock every hour thinking about, oh, is it time to get up? So we need to put something over that, put the alarm on, and just leave it be. Listen to relaxation CDs. That could be water, it could be forest, it could be birds chirping, whatever helps your client. And last, avoid caffeine after noon. And that depends on the individual. Some people can have to stop at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Some people go a little bit longer. Depends how you metabolize caffeine. And exercise no closer to 3 hours prior to bedtime. So our bodies get warm, we get the endorphins going, and it takes a long time to get restful sleep. So to wrap up our 4 pillars of health, I have some honorable mentions I think that are very important to talk about. Number 1 is supplementation. And we hear a lot about supplementation. Do we need it? Do we not? I think it is important when we look at nutrient deficiencies. Vitamin E, we're 90% deficient on vitamin E. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, we don't go out in the sun anymore. So we need to supplement with vitamin D. Vitamin C, excreted through the urine hourly. And so we need to make sure our immune system's strong through vitamin C. Magnesium, 60 to 80% of Americans are deficient on magnesium. Magnesium helps control 300 enzymatic processes of the body, so that's super important, especially for energy. Detoxification. So this isn't just about taking a bunch of drinks and detoxifying the body. This is things that we can do every day. You can go sweat through exercise, drink pure water, half your body weight in ounces of water. You can go to a sauna and sweat. So these are important things to help detoxify our body daily. The foods that we consume, the leafy greens, help detoxify our liver. Laughter. People spend tons of money on laughter therapy. So I would recommend you tell your clients to go see a funny movie. There's a good story about Dr. Norman Cousins, and he was diagnosed with what's called ALS, and doesn't give a good prognosis. And they gave him about a year to live. Well, he said, forget you guys, I'm going to go watch a bunch of funny movies. And he did. He watched the Marx Brothers movies. He lived another 20 years. Now, can we prove that the Marx Brothers were the reason why? Don't know, but laughter is very important. Laughter also helps open up the blood vessel. It creates nitric oxide. Vacation retreats. More and more people are taking less vacations, and when they do, they're taking their cell phones. All right. So we need to teach our clients to not only take vacations, but really take your vacation away from work. Retreats, 2 or 3 day retreats help rejuvenate the mind, even if it's just a few miles away into a hotel. Social ties, community, and friendships. This is probably what helps keep people living longer than anything. And we call it the blue zones. If you've never read the book, I would highly recommend that you read the book and you advise it to your clients. These are different pockets of the world where people live till 100 or greater. And you'll see people like in Okinawa, Loma Linda, California, Sardinia. And their diets are all different. Their exercise is different, so to speak. But what they have in connection with all this living longer is the fact that they have good social ties. They have family ties. And this is the one thing that we see amongst all the centenarians. They take time with their family and friends. They bring back the great-great-grandmother into the home, and they teach the young people how to live a valued life. And finally, volunteering is very important. Studies have shown that people that volunteer have lower heart rates, lower blood pressure, and live longer. So finally, I want to wrap up with what I call the bank of health. And this is what you can tell your clients. So if we don't follow the 4 pillars of health and the honorable mentions, what we get are processed foods, genetically modified foods, a lack of sleep. Okay? We have insomnia. We don't manage our stress. We continually work harder and harder and harder and get less results. And all these things are super critical. If we don't do these things, we're going to end up like the piglet on the left. On the right side, this piglet decided to eat an organic diet of nutrient-dense foods, sleep 7 to 9 hours per night at a consistent bedtime. And this piglet also did yoga and diaphragmatic breathing and lived just a real holistic lifestyle. So the choice is yours. It comes to a choice. Which one are you going to do? Are you going to live the life of the piglet on the left or the one on the right? Thank you.